Hey, I just wanted to say at the start of the video, just not to go and basically find the guy I've spoken about to give him loads of hate, because this is fairly old news now. What's done is done. I just wanted to talk about it in the video. So don't go and find him. Don't go and send him hate, because there's no point. Anyway, yeah, just wanted to throw that in at the start. Just, yeah, please just be decent people. I'm sure by now we have all stumbled across this tweet, right? A tweet showcasing some chat logs of two TF2 traders working at a price for a Burning Flames polar pullover, a really high tier item. And in those chat logs, initially, the buyer of the item jokes about swapping out 50 keys in that deal for a hamster. The conversation then goes on to asking if they would take their dog as part of the deal, and they negotiate a price for that dog at around 450 keys, or like $700 or so or something like that. And the guy who's trying to buy the pullover accepts that price and leaves the chat with, "Okay, give me some time to say goodbye." What? Viewing this tweet just as is, with none of the added context that has come out recently, really made me feel quite uneasy. Like, some of the messages that were in there, obviously knowing more about the context, it makes more sense. But this is like their family dog of 10 years, apparently the buyer's best friend for half of his life, and he's decided to trade him away for some virtual pixels. I really didn't like that entire thing. I kind of tweeted, sorry, what about the whole thing? But I tried to forget about it after that. I didn't hear anything of it for a few days until somebody in my stream chat mentioned it, and I decided to go and find the tweet again to show anyone who hadn't seen it and maybe talk about it a little bit. However, when I went back to the initial tweet, I saw that it had a community note on it. That community note led to an extremely important piece of context that wasn't available at the time of the initial tweet. It turns out the context as to why he did decide to trade his dog away was quite important. He wrote a tweet that claims that the two people trading with each other are IRL friends, and that due to some personal commitments, his family moving away, and the dog's increasing medical needs, the owner simply doesn't have the time to look after the dog anymore. He can't exactly give it the care it needs and the comfy life that any good dog deserves. And apparently the dog can't eat regular dog food because of some lumps in its neck, so having to cook the food while you're busy with other life stuff is something that is hard to maintain. So giving the dog to his friend, somebody the dog actually does seem to know, and can look after him properly, would seem like a no-brainer to any owner. This other trader has even looked after the dog a number of times, apparently, so they already kind of know the deal when it comes to what to expect with looking after it. Now, taking that context at face value, it seems a little bit more wholesome than just like, oh, I could get a bit of money out of my family dog, let me sell him and get this polar pullover. No, it seems a little bit more wholesome than that if we take it at face value. There's been some more stuff in the Twitter thread surrounding this whole thing, certain Discord messages that leave a very weird feeling in my stomach surrounding the whole thing, and honestly makes me feel a little bit sick. Like, that's your own dog of 10 years you're talking about. But I just want to believe with whatever goodness is left in my heart that the story shared and the context given wasn't just damage control, because this guy did just want to get rid of his dog. I hope for at least the dog's sake that this is real and that the dog is now somewhere better for it, regardless of how fucked up the rest of the situation is. I want to be on the guy who's traded away the dog's side. I really do. I get how difficult it can be when you have to make difficult decisions about rehoming dogs. I get that bit, but God, some of it, I can't back it. I can't. Personally, if I was in that situation, I would have dealt with the rehoming of the dog completely separate to any TF2 trade. It wouldn't be added in as sweets to get yourself an item that's really expensive. It just wouldn't. I saw some people saying this guy's inventory is super expensive, especially because he's negotiating for a Burning Flames pullover in these images. But purely based on what he said in the context, it doesn't necessarily sound like money is the issue with looking after the dog. Having the time to care for him properly is. Regardless of that whole situation, to me, the fact that the dog is in a home that will allow it to have the attention it needs, that's the most important thing. The morals of this whole thing is still all over the place, and people will argue about that to their grave if they could. Like I said, rehoming the dog should have been a completely separate conversation, especially if he said he would give the dog away to that guy for free. I just hope the dog is okay. There was even people talking of the fact that they added the dog into the trade as a kind of form of price manipulation, because they're saying the dog's worth 450 keys when technically the dog doesn't have a value. They're talking about it like it's an item, which is just, it's horrible. The dog should have just been left out of it completely. It shouldn't have been in the price suggestion for the polar pullover whatsoever. Shouldn't have been in the conversation about adding it in to the price of the polar pullover whatsoever. The dog rehoming situation should have been done completely separate from anything else. Literally, the only way I feel like I can look at this anymore is that the dog is now in a home where it's going to get the care and the attention that it deserves to get, because it does deserve to get it. All dogs do. Anyway, that's going to do it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.